It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome to Confidence in Bloom, the podcast that reminds you that confidence isn't about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to yourself. I'm your host, Tina Spoletini, and this season, we're embracing the theme, End of Year, Beginning of Me, a time to pause, reflect, and let go of what no longer serves you. Together, we'll explore real stories and soulful insights to help you quiet that itty-bitty shitty committee, release the shoulds that weigh you down, and step into the new year grounded in self-love, clarity, and confidence. Let's begin today's conversation. I'm chatting with Karen Porter. For almost 30 years, Karen battled severe IBS, anxiety, and suicidal depression that left her hospitalized and desperate for answers. When traditional medicine failed her, she turned to alternative healing methods that completely transformed her health and happiness. Now, approaching 60, Karen is passionate about helping women over 50 regain their energy, balance their hormones, and feel vibrant through her proven Your Best Life Reset program. She's been featured on stages, podcasts, and major media outlets like CP24, Global TV, and Breakfast Television, empowering women to make the rest of their life the best of their life. Welcome, Karen.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to our discussion because, menopause is sort of one of the top of the list, right, with most women that I chat with. And you've come from some pretty incredibly dark chapters in your life, with depression and IBS. Those two issues they're common. They seem to be very common in the world today. What I'm interested in is, how you pulled yourself out of that. Like what created the beginning of me shift in you?
Right. Well, it was the IBS is really something that I had from my 20s to my late 40s, and actually really the bouts of debilitating anxiety and suicidal depression as well. It was like, okay, it happened once in my 20s and then twice in my 30s and then twice in my 40s. And it was just really, really bad to the point where I was hospitalized and in a psychiatric ward. But what really got me out of it were several things, but and each time was a little bit different. But what really had the most impact on my life was really when I met a nutritionist at a cooking class. And I thought, I need to talk to her more. And she helped me sort of change the way I was looking at food and the way that I was eating. And then, that helped my gut, which then also affected my brain because of the gut-brain axis, right? So that, that started to help my mental health. But then it was, other things as well. I talk about how important mindset is and regulating our nervous system. So that is something I work on every day to be more resilient and manage my stress, right? It was meditation, it is breath work. So it's a bunch of tools which I now share with my clients.
So, I love that because it's never just one thing. Mm-hmm. Right? And we all know, we've been hearing it for years now, that our gut health is what creates our life, right? If our gut is not happy, our brain isn't happy, the rest of our body is not happy, our emotions are not, we all have to get So I'm curious what the nutritionist found or what you found when you talked with her. I'm assuming it was a woman. I think
Yeah.
that's what you said. Yeah. That, getting like eating different, right? What
Right.
did you eat like before? Were you eating like fast food, McDonald's, kind of on the run all the time? Or were you cooking at home?
A little bit of both. You know, I, y- yeah, we were busy with young kids, and you work with what you have. You do the best that you can with the information that you have, right? I mean, I look back at it now and think, oh my gosh, but I didn't really know differently. We all know that apples are better than potato chips, but all of the choices we make throughout the day really affect us. So the biggest thing I did with her is really started with an elimination diet. So I really took those things that had the potential to be bothering me out of my diet. And after a month of that, I said, "Oh my gosh, like I just feel so much better." And so, that is really, some of the big things are gluten and dairy and refined sugar, right? And then it's thinking about eating nutrient dense foods. So whole foods like vegetables and fruit and meat well, obviously we're cooking the meat and you can cook the vegetables, but in their whole form. And unfortunately, because we're busy, we tend to go for these convenience things, but even things that are healthy, like if they're prepared elsewhere, when you're actually looking at the ingredients, it's not what would be truly anti-inflammatory. So an elimination diet is really the same as an anti-inflammatory diet. It's removing those things. And you might think, oh gosh, I couldn't give up bread and sugar but with help, you actually can modify things, and then your taste buds change when what you're doing starts to change the microbes in your gut, right? And
Yeah.
so many people think, like, so for me, IBS or irritable bowel syndrome was how it expressed or showed up in my body, right? But you don't have to have, constant bloating, diarrhea, or constipation for your gut to be affecting other areas, right? So what I'm saying is you might think you don't have gut issues, but you could, and it can affect your mental health. It can affect your hormones. It can affect so many different things, right? So
Yeah.
your experience through perimenopause and into menopause and beyond can be so different if you know the right tools, if you know how to make the changes or work with somebody that does.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with IBS, and this, probably better than I do, there's no real cause of it. And
Right.
when you go to the doctor, they don't really know a whole lot about it, which is probably why in your history, the medical doctor couldn't help you, the Western medical
No.
doctor, right? Because there's no test to say this is what the problem is, right?
Right.
They
Yeah.
just know that your stomach is not working, or not your stomach, but
Right.
your guts are not
Yeah.
working properly with the rest of your body.
Right. So they can do testing and rule out Crohn's and colitis, but then you're left with this catch-all IBS, right? And you're right. Because I remember asking my doctor about food testing, and he said, no, because it's food and stress. Well, yeah, but we can start making changes with the food part, right?
Yeah.
You
But
know.
I think, and I mean, you've gone through it. I think the best way is through elimination, right?
Mhm.
Testing, yeah, testing might be able to tell you, yeah, you have a little bit of an intolerance to this, but it's
Yeah.
probably not that big a deal. Or you have an I mean, allergies, it would be nice, right? It would be nice to
Yeah.
know, but the reality is it's how your body is dealing with life in general,
Yeah.
whether it's
Exactly.
stress or, whatever it is. And then it's like, your gut is telling your body how to like disperse all this stuff. And if
Right.
it's not given the right nutrients, it's going to make it sick, right? That's basically what it comes down to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And yeah, the doctor would give me different medications to try and help with this, the spasms or whatever it was. But yeah, that doesn't fix anything. That
It's just a Band-Aid.
yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, with so many of our pharmaceuticals, they're just a Band-Aid. They are just masking or not even trying to mask, the symptoms.
And causing something else, right? Is that
Exactly.
learning that? So
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what you feel. So lots of women, I mean, I know women my age that I chat with, as we reach into our 50s, we are exhausted. I mean,
Hmm.
we've raised a family, we've, had a career, we've done life. And now we're at an age where we're heading into the menopause stage and we're exhausted, right? We're
Yeah.
disconnected. Disconnected from our bodies, let alone from,
Hmm.
like the rest of life.
Right.
How does this time of life become like powerful? Like, how can we look at this and, sort of be empowered and look at it as a new beginning?
Yeah, you can. I mean, it definitely can be empowering um, and a new beginning. I responded to a post recently, and it said, "What is your experience, or how do you feel about menopause?" And I saw that lots of people put comments like hell and awful and I put liberating, and there was a few other positive comments like mine. But I'm sure some people, that are going through the hell are just like, oh, that's great that your experience is like that. But I make the choices every day from my knowledge, right? Because this is what I've studied and researched, and this is what I'm immersed in, right? So I make the choices daily to help me to feel good and feel empowered, right? So generally for women, it's, working with somebody or trying to get the information, right? It's not about, you still hear calories in, calories out, or, it's not that at all. And, we don't always want to be measuring things either, right? I teach my clients the principles, and then they know how to do it for the rest of their lives, right? So
Right.
it's by working with somebody getting the knowledge, and having the plan to move forward. So food is a big part of it, but there's so many other things that we need to pull in, right? Like I say, you can eat all the great stuff and exercise all you want, but if you're stressed, like every day running the treadmill, looking after everybody else, you're still not going to feel great, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
exhausted. Your adrenals are overworked, and your adrenals, by the way, are what has to take over when your, estrogen and progesterone and testosterone start to
Start-
tank, right?
Yeah.
So if you're exhausted, it's just going to get worse. But what is common in menopause, like the hot flashes, the exhaustion, the overwhelm that I hear of often, the mood swings, the weight gain, the difference in the body composition, so many different things can, even though they're common, it doesn't mean they're normal or that it has to be that way, right? So I want women not to accept that, and know that there is a different path moving forward.
I love that. I love that. Now I do have a question, and I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, but menopause symptoms, like the exhaustion, the brain fog,
Yeah.
all things, they seem to be very common, like very similar
Right.
to what everybody is complaining about, whether it's like there are women going through the perimenopause stage, or even now I'm hearing lots of men complaining about the same symptoms.
Mm.
How do we deal with that? Like, I mean, yeah, women can look at that as a perimenopause symptom and say, okay, well, let's get my hormones intact, right? I mean, that's basically what you're saying you do with them or help them to do. But men are having the same issues. Where like they're not having menopause, like they're not going through perimenopause. I know that they're going through, now men go through their own, menopause stage, right? I know that there's a name for it, but obviously it's not coming to me.
Andropause.
Right. And so now
so their testosterone is going down.
And so is it the same, like, I mean, I know you don't work with men in that sense, but what, like, are we blaming menopause? Like, is it an excuse for us women, or is it just a combination of so many things that we just don't know anymore?
Right. And I do actually have some men clients.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that's great.
And yeah, so the sometimes they join with their wives, and sometimes they just come to me on their own. And I see the same great results. Like they're losing inflammation, they're losing weight, they're feeling so much better, energy wise, sleeping better, like so many different things. But yeah, they don't have the perimenopause that's where hormones are fluctuating, and we're just all over the place, right? They're more of a gradual decline in their testosterone, but they can feel, like you said, exhausted or have brain fog. But so much of it has to do with the food, the exercise, the nervous system, and the mindset. Now,
so it's all the same. Like it's all the same.
It really is. And so we want to do everything to support those things. And then sometimes we look outside of that in terms of supplements or adaptogens that we might want to add to either women or men. And then, of course, there's HRT. But and women hear about the hormone replacement, and it can be good for for some women, but it's definitely not where we should start, right?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, we need to make lifestyle changes, right? Like you can't just do, that's the same as a pill for every ill, right? That's the same.
Everybody wants the magic pill,
right?
But
Exactly.
There is no magic pill, right?
No. Yeah, and it's not an excuse for not eating well or moving your body.
Right.
And women think, oh, like my body's working against me, and everything used to be fine until I hit 50 or until I hit menopause or whatever. But it's actually just that it's that time where the things that you might have been able to get away with, you no longer can.
Right. It's finally caught up to you, right? That's what my mom used to say when I was a kid. Well, it'll catch up to her one day, right?
Right.
And
exactly.
Here we are, right? And now, like, some of us thrive during menopause. Like I've heard women say, it came and went and they didn't know. And I'm like, how is that possible? I couldn't get myself out of bed for 3 years, right? All I wanted to do was sleep. Right. And then, I mean, I didn't have a lot of pain, but tired. I mean, I was exhausted, right? I was past exhausted. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went to a doctor and she said, well, this is normal for women your age. And she popped antidepressants at me. Now, at the time, I was like, a little naive to it because I didn't take a lot of medication in my life. So I'm like, oh, well, if this is something that's going to help me, here I go. Well, 8 years later, I'm like, okay, this is not working. Right. It didn't help me. Right. And if anything, I think it made things worse. But I mean, that's a whole new conversation. But I mean, had I known of someone like you, Karen, I would have been like, what do I do now? Right.
Right.
And
exactly.
I mean, I played with a lot of different things over the years. And I mean, the reality is the medication controlled what was going through my brain. right? And so, now that I know, I tell women that are feeling the way I felt, I don't care how old they are, but as soon as they give me any kind of symptom that they're feeling like I felt, I'm like, do not tell the doctor you want antidepressants. And if they suggest it, don't take it, because you need to try other things first that are more natural. Like you said, right? Like, play with the elimination diet, figure out what your body no longer likes, because let's face it, what we could eat when we were in our 20s and 30s, our bodies might not want anymore. Right. And we need to admit that. We need to admit it and embrace it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And and sometimes stabbing in the dark is difficult. And that's why I suggest working with the coach, because sometimes you could have trouble with vegetables that are healthy, but they're under the nightshade category. So that's potatoes, tomatoes, eggplant, and bell peppers. But you'd never think that, you would need to cut out those things. But it's just another thing when you're working with somebody, they can help to figure that out for you.
Exactly. And I would think like, okay, so not everybody is the same. So what works for one might not work for the other, but you also have an idea of the average, right? Well, so I'm finding women, like some women are not liking potatoes, that's not agreeing with them, or, like tomatoes are acidy. Like, probably nobody should be eating it because it's burning the inside of our stomach. But, I'm not a doctor and I can't say that, right? But
there are benefits.
Right. But there are, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I love this. I mean, we could talk all day because I know you have lots of knowledge to share with me, but I want to just like, get, the basics, and then have listeners reach out to you if they have more questions. We mentioned a little bit about mindset and how, what, like the tools that we have and how they work. How do you help women sort of shift their mindset so that they know how to use the tools that you can teach them?
Right. And that's exactly, the mindset is so important. And I talk about the 5 M's with my clients. And the first one is mastering mindset. Well, even though I call it mastering mindset, none of us really master it, but it's something that we need to work on, right? It's so, so important. The next one is managing our nervous system. So that is, managing our stress, right? We can't let that take over. The next one is meals made with ease, and then movement for optimization. And then the last one is magnifying joy or happiness. So all of those things are key and things that I work on with clients. But back to your question about mindset. It's funny because I posted today and I posted about a little mindset tweak. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's something I remind myself of and I talk about it with my clients. And it's just reframing something. So, something like, oh, I have to exercise. No, I get to exercise, right?
Okay, that's me. I know I have to. I do not like it. And that's actually my next question for you.
We just need to help you find something that brings you a movement that brings you joy. And that's the problem. A lot of us are doing things that someone said we should do and we don't love it and we don't want to keep doing it, right? So it's important to find that. But okay, so how it might apply to food is, and I'm always saying this to my clients, when they say, oh, I can't have that chocolate bar. No. You want to, even in your own mind, you don't want to say that to yourself. You want to say, I'm choosing not to have that.
Right. Because I'm not allowed, right?
Oh, I'm not allowed is the worst, right? Like I'm not allowed, or I can't have it, or, whether you're saying it in your own mind or you say it to someone else, either way, it's disempowering and demotivating, everything. So, or even if you say, I'm choosing not to have that right now because I'm working with Karen and I'm doing this program. I'm working on getting healthy. I want to feel good. Like it's the long-term goal that you need to put ahead of, you know, what do I feel like right now,
Right.
right?
Because the reality is I can have whatever I want. I can do
Exactly.
whatever I want, right?
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
the what I want to do that needs changing. Right.
Right.
And so now we have to like, reframe it, or, I guess that's the best way of saying it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not that we don't want to do that anymore. It's we want to get better. Right. And if I
Mhm.
want to get better, eating that or doing that is going to either keep me where I am or make things worse for me. Am I
Right.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was brought to my attention yesterday because actually I was speaking to a cohort who was a life coach. And I said, well, these are the things I'm working on. I need to finish my course on A. I need to do, and I should be, and she caught me saying it, not as it, applied to food or exercise or something, but this applies to everything, right? So
Yeah, life coaches are still living, right? We are not perfection. We are not like we are still learning and still going through all the
right,
things ourselves, right? So
yeah,
yeah, it's easy for us now. Listening to someone else, it's easy to listen for those cues. But when
yes,
we're talking, we're not listening for them, right? Because
right,
we're not mentally like we're not there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I have those around my food and exercise, but sometimes other things,
Well,
I
for sure.
even I get to wash the dishes because we got to have a nice dinner and this
Yeah.
is
And if
just
I
trying.
don't want to, I'm not going to. Like we're allowed
Right,
to say that, right?
right,
Because I
yeah,
mean, let's face it, there's things that we do because we feel like we have to do them right now,
hmm,
right? But the reality is like, okay, I'm not saying let your dishes overflow for 3 days. That's not what I'm saying. But if you really feel tired because you just had a big turkey dinner and you're
right,
tired and you'd rather be visiting with, whoever's sitting at it, that's okay. Like don't
right,
feel the pressure, right? And
yeah,
that will help you change that mindset of I can or I can't.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the other cool thing that when you were speaking, I just thought about was when we get our food and our movement and things sort of dialed in, it actually not perfect. When I say dialed in, I'm never about perfection. I'm always about progress, but doing better, being a better version of yourself. But what I was just thinking of is when we do get that dialed in, we actually give ourselves more time. So people think it takes time, right? And in the beginning, it does because you're making mental and physical changes. But it actually gives us more time because you get more energy. So, how is that not a win, right?
Right.
So, it's something you're doing initially, but you get used to it, and then you realize you've got more energy. So you've bought yourself time. And
Yeah.
the other thing I had a client talking about recently was she had a very stressful job, and she said, wow, after working with you only through half of the program, she said, I can't remember when I was stressed. Like she became so much more resilient to handle the things. So not only now do you have more time because of your energy, but you're able to handle things better, right?
And
So
yet not feeling the stress. I love that. Who doesn't want
yeah,
that life, right?
ex exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
As we
Yeah.
close out this year, Karen, what are some practical ways that, women in general can reset their health and energy before stepping into the new year?
So, there of course are many things, but one that we haven't talked about yet um, is our breathing, right? So I just recently certified as a breathwork facilitator. And I do breath work sessions with my clients, which are, longer sessions, but our breathing is so important because especially when we're stressed, we're taking shallow, chest breaths. We need to slow our breath down and extend our abdomen and really do deep belly breaths, right? So, and breathe through your nose, right? Try and be aware. And when you're not talking or eating, try and keep your mouth closed, right? So many benefits to breathing through our nostrils. So try and slow down your breath. There's lots of different things, box breathing, 5, 6, 7 breathing, alternating nostril breathing, like different things like that, right? But really try and be conscious of your breath. Take a longer exhale if you can. So that's one thing. Another thing that we hear about all the time is drinking water, right? So we've heard that for years and years, but really trying to drink half of your body weight in ounces of water. But if you really don't drink water now, that's obviously a big goal. So just try and start, right? Um, just have a couple glasses of water a day, or buy a bottle that you like and just keep it with you and try and drink more water. I'm also a big fan of electrolytes in the water. And that's like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So minerals that we need.
Yeah, and those have to unfortunately be added to our water because they take them out,
Right.
right? Most cities. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to say, the nighttime snacking. So we got to really try and eliminate that. So I like intermittent fasting, but that's a whole big discussion, right? So, but one of the biggest things is try to stop eating after dinner. It's huge, right? So brush your teeth, whatever you can do, because oftentimes we just want to change the flavor in our mouth, right?
Yeah.
So brush your teeth. And then if you do feel like having something, one, are you staying up too late? I find that when I stay up later than I usually do, then I'm like, oh, what can I eat? I'm not going to go to bed hungry, right? So I've stayed up too late. But ask yourself, are you really hungry, right? And if you're
Yeah.
not, like you need another activity.
Right? Isn't
Try
that?
and do
Yeah.
something else, right? And sometimes it's doing something else physical or putting yourself somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah,
know,
I have a thing with the eating after. Like I had a hard time. So I didn't consider myself a snacker like after supper. My husband he always liked coffee and sometimes lots of times cookies.
mhm,
His coffee. And so I was like, well, I would have just a cup of tea and I was okay with that. But then
yeah.
I found that, every once in a while for about a week or two at a time, I would go and I would have that snack with him. And then
Mm,
I would be like, I'd go to bed feeling so full and just uncomfortable. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Right. So, what I
yeah.
started doing was when I did the dishes after supper, I would shut the lights off. And I'm like, kitchen is
Yeah.
closed, right? If we
Yeah.
want a cup of tea, like, okay, we'll have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, that's fine. But that's it. If I had a snack, I would actually prepare it, right? And put it
Mhm.
beside the coffee machine so that when we made the coffee and the tea, we'd have, that snack. And it was usually like one cookie each. Right? Not a dish of cookies, right? And so
Right.
lots of my husband would be like, well, I want more. Well, yeah, I know you want more, but do you need more? Right? We
Right.
don't need that stuff, especially at that hour, right? At that 9:30, 10 o'clock, we should be like our body's
Yeah.
going into digestion mode. And so the more we put into our body, the harder it's going to have to work when we're sleeping. And women going through menopause, right?
Yeah. The
three
sleep is
o'clock
affected.
Exactly, 3 o'clock in the morning when our liver is doing all the work it's supposed to be doing to clean us out, we're wide awake
Mhm.
because the liver's overdoing it, right? The liver's like, oh, you're making my life so difficult.
Right. Yeah. Or your blood sugar is,
Yeah, like, I mean, like
yeah,
that's part of your, like, eating, like the eliminating, like getting rid of all that stuff, because we want to make our organs work for us, right?
right.
Not against us. And so I think
Yeah.
that's where, like the whole brain gut connection comes in, right? Like
Yeah.
we need to think on the same line as,
Right.
our organs, because I mean, let's face it, they're a part of us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So I'm assuming, like, you talked about your best life reset with me the last time we chatted. And I
Hmm.
think all the things that you mentioned are kind of a part of that, like the
Yes.
five M's, the balance of the food and all that stuff. So I want to know more, unless of course you've already kind of discussed most of it.
No, I can certainly talk more about it. But so your Best Life Reset is a 12-week program, and it's a group program. So we have, other women going through it at the same time. And I really love that community because they gain from each other, right? They hear from me, but they also, gain insight from each other. And so even though it's a group, I also do one-on-one coaching with the clients. So then I'm helping them individually. And, there really is accountability in terms of, what they're eating, what they're doing, so that especially in the first couple of weeks, I want to make sure they're on the right path and they've got that success, right? And then throughout, we're working on the mindset, and we're going to be doing these things to manage your stress better, and yeah, and talking about sleep and how can we get better sleep and what affects our sleep, and all of those things, right?
My God,
So
I'm getting so excited. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's the whole idea of, aligning your values with your behaviors and actually getting it right. Right?
yeah.
Like, it just sounds to me like you really work with your clients to get them working in a position where they can make, head and gut work together. Like, I'm
Exactly.
like, my insides are getting all like dancy, and and I just love that, because I want our listeners to do the best that they can to
Right.
create that life. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, there are
exactly.
too many people walking down the street here like robots, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we all feel like shit. We all feel like, we're too tired to deal with life, right? And we're missing out on so much, right?
Yes.
And if we just get it all together, and we're not like, you're not gonna, like, take all the favorite things away, because let's face it, if you really love something, don't give it up. You need that happiness, right? But
Right.
if it's not bringing
I
you
might
happy.
show you how to do it a bit differently, though.
Right, exactly. But I mean, the reality is, I mean, if I really love my pasta, right? I mean, I love pasta, but I have taken it out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean like we have to give it up forever,
Right.
right? And I think that's what, the best life reset comes down to, right?
Right.
From what I'm, from the little bit that we're talking here. So I'm like
Right.
just super excited, and I'm like, I want everyone to come talk with you.
Yeah, and I love it because the first 6 weeks we do a certain way of eating, and then the second 6 weeks is really bringing some things back in. So it's not a diet at all, but it's not a program where you get to a certain point and then you're on your own, right? Like I love the people to stay it's a lifelong thing. Like you know how to do it, but you can jump back in at any time to the group, if you need, tips or motivation, or you just want to speak with the community. And the other thing
Yeah.
I wanted to say is that, it's really about healing your body first, right? And so the whole premise of the program is to get your body into the parasympathetic state of rest and digest, where you're relaxed, as opposed to, the sympathetic state, which is fight or flight, right? That
Right.
stress state that we all know, right?
Which most of us are living in. Yeah,
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the other thing that's really important when I start working with somebody, I always say, I want you to think about your why, right? Because this is what we'll need to come back to when you start feeling challenged, right? So, and sometimes a woman will come to me and say, well, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, that's not really your why. We got to peel that back further. So why is that important to you? Because you can buy clothes at 20 pounds higher, right? It's not that we need to be a smaller number of ourselves. It's like we don't need to be, and you don't need to fit into what you were as a teenager. It's not about that. But it's like, how about losing in the inflammation so your body feels better. To me, weight is just a byproduct, right? It's getting the body healthy first. So for somebody, it might be, well, I want to be able to run around with my grandkids, or I want to be able to travel the world and do all the hiking and biking and things that I want, right? So then it's important to have that in front of you, that is what you want, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's different for every woman what
Right. And there's no right answer, right?
right. No, it's
like
what's
whatever is,
important to you.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever's motivating you, that's what matters. But it's not just
Exactly.
about the number on the scale.
No.
More to it than that. Yeah, I agree with you there. And I've been thinking that way for years now, right? Because
Yeah. And most of us have. Yeah.
yeah,
Most women
yeah,
do. Yeah.
exactly. I love that. So if a listener is feeling stuck, in the same cycle of that stress, fatigue, the self-doubt, where should she begin?
Well, you can certainly follow me on Instagram at Karen Porter Health Coach. On my website, which is karenporter.ca, I've got a great download, which is, I call it my recipe to health and happiness. And it really gives, pointers on things that you can, that you can do to really be feeling better. In November, I'm going to be doing a pre-holiday Feel Fabulous 5-day challenge. So that's going to be the week of November 10th. And so that's a free challenge. I love to help women, and I know that the women who come to the challenge really, really want to feel good. So
I
I
love that.
I love doing those. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So you're gonna give me all the links to that, because
Yes.
we're gonna put that with the show notes, and I'm probably gonna join. When it comes to challenges, I don't take them very well, so I'm gonna join, but I can't promise. Now, when you
Well, you can, even if you get one of the days, one of the tips, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
your
not like
body, your mind is going to connect with something, as long as it's something positive. That's what matters.
right.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So when you look back at your life now, Karen, what is one thing that you are most proud of yourself for overcoming?
Well, yeah, I would say it is the lowest points that I've had, right? So the anxiety that turned into depression, and I was in my worst possible state, wanting to end my life, which came with so much shame because I had a great life, right? And just overcoming that and being now in a position where I feel awesome and I want to share that with other women.
I love that. And that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
That's what, when we've figured out what works for us, we want it to work for everyone else. Right.
Mhm.
I love that
Yeah.
for you. So, and finally, our last question, as we look forward to 2026 already, what does the beginning of me mean to you personally right now?
Sorry, what does the beginning of
like, what does your 2026 look like?
Right. It really is refining what, what feels good for me, refining or redefining my success. There are just so many different parts of that, but like you were talking before, as we age and things change, what's important to me now is very different than what was important 5 or 10 years ago, right? So it's really just and this is for everybody, but it's like it's aligning with ourselves, it's aligning with me so that I can be in the best place possible. And it's not selfish, it is, it's important, because if you're the best version of you, you can be better for everyone around you.
And living out your purpose the best way you can. That's
Yeah.
That's totally what I'm getting from you. And I love that. So and I say that because personally, like I'm still like, navigating the perimenopause. I think, like for the most part, I'm like feeling better about it, because I'm trying to look at it in a positive way. Like you said, like if we look at it as, it's horrible, because years ago I was saying it's freaking hell, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt so shitty. But now, now that I know like what's going on and how I can manage it, I'm feeling so much better about it.
Right. Yeah.
And I actually am not bitchy about it. Right. Like, I'm still bitchy, but I'm not bitchy about the menopause. Right. Because the fact is we're going to get there.
Right.
Whether we want to or not, we're going to pass that. And so I feel like we need to embrace it with love and positivity, right? Like, it's a fact of life. So we got to do it, right? It's like looking in the mirror and like, oh my God, who is that person? Because the person I wanted to be was 20 years ago, right? But today that's not who I am. So what do we do? We can't, we can go look younger, right? There's many women doing it, but the fact is I'm still 50, right? I'm still the age that I am. Right. And so, this conversation has helped me even more realize that, just to accept who we are for who we and what we are.
Right. And just know, and to add positive to that, just know that you can have an effect on it, right? That, we can make changes to make it even more comfortable.
Right. Exactly. And I guess that's what it comes down to. We don't have to just let it happen.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been awesome. And I know we could talk for another couple hours, because there's so much. I know a lot of stuff, right? There takes research. So thank you so much for joining me and sharing what you know. And I really hope that our listeners reach out to you, because I think you have great value to share with them.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to Confidence in Bloom. I hope today's conversation reminded you that you're not alone on this journey, and that your confidence grows every time you tell that itty bitty shitty committee to hush. If you're ready to take this even deeper, I'd love to invite you to the Bloom Room, a nurturing community where women come together to release self-doubt, reconnect with themselves, and bloom into the truest versions of who they're meant to be. You'll find the link in the show notes, and I can't wait to welcome you inside. Until next time, remember, confidence isn't something you find, it's something that blooms from within.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.